Bitcoin is a commodity. It should be treated like gold and like oil.
Crypto has been no stranger to bullish catalysts lately. But what if I told you that one of the most powerful forces in global finance is quietly gearing up to shake things up in a big way? And that's because Cantor Fitzgerald, a name synonymous with Wall Street's elite, is making some serious moves into crypto, moves that could pump the entire crypto market in 2025. Let's dig in. Cantor Fitzgerald was founded back in 1945 by Bernard Gerald Cantor and John Fitzgerald. What started as a humble investment bank quickly evolved into a Wall Street powerhouse. In its early years, Cantor ventured into large block sales and equity trading for institutional investors, setting the stage for its future success. A significant milestone came in 1972 when the company became the world's first electronic marketplace for US government securities, putting it on the map for technological advancement in finance. The firm would double down on its commitment to technical innovation after Howard Lutnick became Cantor's new CEO in 1991. For context, Howard joined the company back in 1983 as a fixed income analyst before quickly moving his way up the ranks. By 1991, just 8 years later, Howard was named as the new CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald. Under Howard's leadership, Cantor would go on to develop eSpeed, which would be developed and released in the 1990s. As one of the world's first digital platforms to offer 24-hour trading of US treasuries, eSpeed revolutionized the bond market. Today, Cantor Fitzgerald is recognized for its expertise in investment banking, asset management, and various other financial services. However, the company's story isn't just one of financial success. It's also one of resilience. And that's because Cantor Fitzgerald suffered unbelievable losses in the attacks of 9/11. You see, the company's headquarters were based in the World Trade Center, just several floors above the impact zone of one of the aircraft.
Just after the plane hit, and he told her that.
Sadly, every single person that was at work that day passed away. More specifically, out of the company's 960 staff members, a staggering 658 of them died, along with 46 contractors, food service workers, and visitors who were in the office on that day. This tragedy accounted for nearly 70% of Cantor's workforce and about a quarter of the total number of victims, marking the largest loss of life suffered by any single organization on that day. Howard himself would have normally been in the office that day, but as chance would have it, he was busy taking his son to his first day at kindergarten instead. When he saw the attacks, he tried to get to the scene but was unsuccessful and ended up surviving on the ground level by taking shelter under a nearby car. Truly crazy stuff. As difficult as it must have been to watch everything unfold, Howard made a pledge to ensure the company would go on and prosper. Cantor Fitzgerald pledged to distribute 25% of its profits to the families of the victims over the next 5 years and paid for the next 10 years of their health care. This pledge was maintained, and by 2006, the company had paid out over $180 million. And this would mean that each of the 658 families would receive around $270,000, although this is a rough estimate. Since then, Cantor Fitzgerald hasn't just healed, but has grown to become a financial services powerhouse with over 12,500 employees across over 20 different countries. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying this video so far, then pound those like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget to flick that notification bell as well to make sure you don't miss our next one. So then, now that you may know more about Cantor Fitzgerald, you may be wondering what any of this has to do with crypto. As it turns out, Howard Lutnick has been quietly positioning Cantor Fitzgerald to make a serious splash in the crypto world. His move into digital assets came after the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency announced in July 2020 that banks could provide custody for digital assets. To seize the opportunity, Howard dove headfirst into the crypto space, even though, by his own admission, he knew next to nothing about it. So he went out of his way to speak to key leaders in the space to learn more. And by chance, he would then meet Tether's chief financial officer, Giancarlo De Fassini. Howard reportedly went to extraordinary lengths to maintain a direct and personal relationship with Giancarlo. According to the Wall Street Journal, Howard would even fly privately to meet Giancarlo due to rumored legal risks if Giancarlo flew to New York. This level of secrecy raised eyebrows in the crypto community, especially since only a select few Cantor executives were allowed to interact with Tether. Considering that Tether's biggest controversy has always been its lack of transparency, keeping things hush-hush didn't exactly inspire confidence. In any case, Howard was present at this year's Bitcoin conference where he said that he saw various media outlets accusing Tether of not having the money it claimed, and basically being a Ponzi scheme. So, as Howard says, quote, "I basically told Giancarlo the movie line, 'Show me the money.' They gave us complete access to due diligence. We found every penny." He also admitted that Tether's reserves were held in what he called some pretty godforsaken places, specifically Chinese commercial paper, which offer higher yields but are considered high risk due to unpredictable regulations. To reduce this risk, Howard offered a solution. Let Cantor manage Tether's reserves, replacing Chinese commercial papers with US Treasury bills once they matured. Tether agreed, and since 2021, Cantor Fitzgerald has managed billions of dollars in Tether's reserves, with Howard becoming one of its most vocal defenders. As Howard said in his Bitcoin conference speech, quote, "I can tell you with absolute certainty that Tether USDT has every penny, and it can produce liquidity on a moment's notice because they have their US Treasuries with Cantor Fitzgerald, a primary dealer who can create liquidity instantly." In fact, Cantor Fitzgerald is so supportive of Tether that they recently acquired a 5% stake in the company, which could position Tether to receive extra political support. But more on that later. Anyway, aside from USDT, the only other crypto that Howard advocates for is Bitcoin. In fact, and part of his speech at this year's conference was the announcement that Cantor Fitzgerald would be offering a new Bitcoin financing business, essentially a leverage platform for BTC. In a separate interview in September this year, Howard also said that Bitcoin should have similar regulatory treatment to gold and oil. But while Howard believes, like many others, that BTC is analogous to gold, he's also dismissed every other altcoin, excluding USDT, as just not a thing. To be fair, we reckon this is more of a lack of understanding. Keep in mind that Howard didn't know anything about either USDT or even Bitcoin before he went out of his way to learn more about their potential. As he learns more, his stance could change, but only time will tell. In any case, Howard's journey from Wall Street titan to crypto advocate is emblematic of how the traditional financial system is converging with decentralized crypto alternatives. And some would even argue that Howard's involvement with Tether gives the company a new layer of credibility.
The Coin Bureau Deals page. It won't make you stronger, but it will make you better at crypto.
Now, on top of being an avid supporter of Tether, Howard Lutnick is also a significant supporter of President-elect Donald Trump. And this is where things get really interesting. You see, Howard was a major donor in both Trump's 2020 and 2024 campaigns. Howard's support of Trump can be traced back to 2017, where he donated $1 million to Trump's inaugural committee. In 2019, Howard hosted a fundraiser at his Manhattan home, raising around $5 million in support of Trump's 2020 campaign. More recently, Howard hosted another fundraiser for Trump in August of this year, this time at his Bridgehampton home. I mean, come on guys, he's a billionaire. He's not going to use the same venue twice. This time around, Howard raised $15 million for Trump's campaign, the largest raise by far. But it's not just the fundraising that Howard has been doing for Trump lately. As it happens, the Cantor CEO has also become personally involved in Trump's campaign efforts, even tagging along for rallies and, of course, giving some speeches. Howard has been especially vocal about his support for Trump's tariff proposals, which he describes as an amazing tool to protect the American worker. And you can learn more about these tariffs in the description below. This support hasn't gone unnoticed, and as such, Howard was chosen to co-lead Trump's transition team alongside Linda McMahon, the co-founder of the World Wrestling Entertainment, or WWE. The transition team will be responsible for organizing policies and managing staff, which Howard and Linda will oversee alongside other honorary chairs, including Vice President-elect J.D. Vance and Trump's own sons, Eric and Donald Jr. As if that wasn't already crazy enough, in November, Howard became a candidate to become the new U.S. Treasury Secretary. Ultimately, he was given a different position by Trump as the Secretary of the Commerce, a role that many believed Howard would be the most likely candidate for. For context, the United States Secretary of the Commerce plays a crucial role in managing the nation's economic policies and promoting business growth. Some key responsibilities include being an official advisor to the president and overseeing the economic growth of the U.S., everything from job creation to international trade. As the Secretary of Commerce, Howard will be a cabinet member, meaning that he will be directly reporting to Trump and helping with high-level decision-making. This ties into another area where Howard's involvement with Trump could have major influence on Trump's policy decisions. Around the time that Howard was designated as a co-chair of Trump's transition team, he also met with the world's busiest billionaire, Elon Musk, to propose the Department of Government Efficiency. As a fun fact, Howard's bio on X literally names him as a DOGE founding member. Howard deliberately called it DOGE to amuse Elon, who is a known fan of Dogecoin. Unsurprisingly, the Doge father himself loved the idea and later floated it by Trump, who immediately threw his support behind it. Unsurprisingly, Trump's announcement of the DOGE initiative sent Doge, the crypto that is, flying. The classic Elon effect. Anyways, you can learn more about that in the description. But what exactly is the Department of Government Efficiency anyhow? Well, despite the name, it's not an actual government department. Instead, it will serve as an advisory board that operates externally. The DOGE will be run by Elon alongside Vivek Ramaswamy, yet another billionaire entrepreneur. According to Trump, the DOGE's responsibility will be to, quote, dismantle government bureaucracy, slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies, essential to the Save America movement. Essentially, this means carefully analyzing the ways the government invests its money in order to find a way to reduce federal spending. According to Elon, the DOGE could reduce U.S. government spending by as much as $2 trillion. And that's trillion with a T. He also said that he'd use a public name and shame leaderboard to expose anyone who was abusing the system, so to speak. In his words, quote, this will send shockwaves through the system and anyone involved in government waste, which is a lot of people. In any case, if you were wondering how Howard plans to balance being the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald and being the new Secretary of Commerce, the short answer is that he isn't. Howard has announced that following his selection for the role, he will step down as the CEO for Cantor in order to refocus his efforts. Now, this begs the question of how Howard Lutnick could potentially influence positive crypto regulations in 2025. And this is where things get exciting because there are a lot of answers. In fact, Howard Lutnick could potentially be about to play one of the most pivotal roles in shaping positive regulatory frameworks for crypto. For instance, as Trump's new pro-crypto Secretary of Commerce, Howard will likely advocate for the classification of cryptos as commodities. As we mentioned earlier, Howard believes that BTC should be treated as other commodities like gold and oil, and has called for regulatory clarity in this regard. This clarity is something that the crypto industry has been crying out for a very long time. Well, in his new role, Howard could promote the very policies that provide that clarity. Other policies that Howard could influence could include pro-crypto trade policies. Given that he will have oversight of the U.S. Trade Representative's Office, Howard could negotiate international trade agreements that favor the use of cryptocurrencies. Of course, Howard's obvious choice here would be USDT. Regardless, though, this would be bigger than you might think, and that's simply because it would facilitate the use of digital assets for cross-border trade. In other words, it would put crypto payments front and center around the globe. It could even be supportive of stablecoin payments in the US, specifically using USDT. Another way that Howard could influence positive crypto policies in 2025 is by engaging with key players in the crypto industry. Put simply, Howard's background as Cantor Fitzgerald's CEO, not to mention his reputation as a strong and resilient business leader, positions him to engage with other industry leaders. This would allow people from every segment of the crypto industry to come together and discuss which best practices would benefit the crypto sector, paving the way for innovation across the space. And this relates to what will most likely have the biggest influence over crypto regulations, and that's collaboration between other pro-crypto officials. And this includes the likes of Paul Atkins, who will replace Gary Gensler as the chairman of the SEC, and David Sachs, who was recently appointed as Trump's AI and crypto czar. As Trump wrote on his social media platform, Truth Social, quote, David will guide policy for the administration in artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency, two areas critical to the future of American competitiveness. David will focus on making America the clear global leader in both areas. No pressure then, hey Dave? Anyway, even though David is the one tasked with pioneering the AI and crypto space in the US, it's important to remember that it's Howard's responsibility to oversee business growth in the US. And given that crypto is one of the most innovative businesses in the world, it's safe to assume that Howard will be working very closely with David in the coming months and years. Okay then, folks, time for the big question. What does all of this mean for crypto? More specifically, what does this mean for stablecoins and the crypto payment sector? Well, in case it wasn't already obvious, the crypto industry could be about to explode. And this is simply because Howard is one of the most pro-crypto candidates that's been appointed by Trump. As such, you can think of him as being a major node in a larger network of government initiatives and departments that could roll out the red carpet for crypto innovation. Consider for a moment that a key reason why many institutional investors are hesitant to dabble in crypto is because of the lack of regulatory clarity. Logically, the more that crypto becomes legitimized, the more institutional investors will feel the FOMO. This is especially true when it comes to stablecoins, which have become the backbone of the crypto market and are deeply intertwined with Howard's personal and professional interests. Stablecoins are de facto digital dollars, and more importantly, they're backed by US government debt, which makes them of strategic interest to the US. From our perspective, the only thing standing in the way of widespread stablecoin adoption in the US is regulatory clarity. If that comes, then we can easily see the case where stablecoins become an integral part of corporate treasuries everywhere. Consider that stablecoins, like USDT, offer additional benefits, such as instant low-cost settlements for global businesses. With the right regulations, we could also see stablecoins, and BTC for that matter, being integrated more with major payment networks, such as Visa and MasterCard. This could be more likely than you think, given that Howard has advocated for Bitcoin's role in international trade. The only potential risk this regulation presents is that it could open the door to stablecoins like USDT being used as a de facto CBDC. And this is something that some are already concerned about. After all, stablecoin issuers have been known to freeze funds at the requests of law enforcement. On the one hand, this is good because it cuts off crime at the source and potentially saves lives. On the other hand, some would argue that this spits in the face of decentralization and is exactly the sort of thing we're trying to avoid in CBDCs. I guess that debate really comes down to your own moral compass. In any case, the key takeaway with Howard's involvement in the Trump administration is that the stablecoin rails on which most of crypto runs are about to get some serious lubrication. And this will be extremely bullish for all of the altcoins that support these stablecoins, but that's a topic for another video. Okay guys, that just about wraps it up for today. If you found this video insightful, let us know by smashing those like and subscribe buttons. It really helps us out. Of course, also hit the bell as well to make sure you don't miss more content like this. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next time. This is Nick, over and out.